You're listening to an episode recorded during the time Innovation Fuel was part of University Canada West. We are proud and grateful for the work we've done together, and we want to thank the university for being in our podcast. We are now excited to continue the journey of Innovation Fuel into its next chapter. Thanks for listening. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Innovation Fuel, the podcast that brings you fantastic stories from entrepreneurs and key industry professionals. I am Dave Gelareh.
And I am Gelareh Farhadian. We are educators, entrepreneurs, and your hosts. Innovation Fuel is our weekly business podcast brought to you by University Canada West. Each week, we explore diverse business models, entrepreneur journeys, experts' insight, and managerial challenges, and how companies stay agile and innovative during COVID-19. Check out our episodes at www.ucanwest.ca/innovationfuel.
Gelareh, how are you doing today?
I'm so good. I'm very good. It's very good weather, but my problem is I want vaccine today, right now. I want to get back to campus, working from there, seeing people, having socializing, having party. I miss party.
Yes, I can't wait to sit and have a drink and catch up. We haven't talked in a long time. It feels like we're so far away from each other. Yes, vaccine. And that is the topic. We look around, all the other countries seem to have it in gear, but we don't. Is this a trade issue? Do we have some challenges here? Do we not have good relationships with these individuals?
Oh, yes. I mean, just see my cousin in the United States and my aunt, she's in the United States. Both of them, they got their vaccine. My brother in 2 weeks will get his vaccine. So why we are so behind? What is the problem? Is there any trade issues?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Is there trade issues? Is there some challenges there? We seem to be very good at trading things out, exporting or importing. Which are we best at?
Exactly. And BC is different because we are very at the end of the west of Canada. And we are having a lot of trading with, there's a possibility to have a trade with China, India, Japan, but there is declining on the last year. Mm-hmm. And we have a lot of increase on Taiwan, US, and EU. And there is a big part of the world, it's Middle East, that it's really needing agriculture. And we're producing agriculture, but there is a very minimum trades with them. Why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, these are lots of questions because you talk about South Asia, you talk about Asia, you talk about these are things that we're really close to. Look at the diverse culture we have here. We have this culture here, and then even with our student body, with the students that are coming from Iran, like yes, there's an opportunity here. Why is it not being realized?
Exactly. I mean, we have to see the purpose. It means the government, the body of the government, it's responsible to have some infrastructures, incentives, procedures. Board of Trade, Chamber of Commerce, they are all there to help these traders, immigrant traders, to trade with their home country, and we have to help them, right? This is a part of our responsibility to help these kind of people to trade and help Canada to increase their exports, especially BC. And then what aspects of other trades that BC can have rather than just focusing on agriculture, mining? What about technology? What about the healthcare? What about other aspects of BC? What BC can offer to the world?
Exactly. Like, why do we not produce our own vaccine? That's going to be the good question. So let's see what Anita has to say about this.
Welcome, Anita Huberman, the CEO of Surrey Board of Trade.
Welcome back, Anita. We're so glad to have you on the show again. We learned so much about women in leadership. We learned so much about the Surrey Board of Trade and some of the challenges that women are facing and the support systems that Surrey Board of Trade have out there. But one of the things we didn't get to talk about was the world of trade in BC, the world of resources and how we're accessing those resources. What is the economic climate here? Where do we participate in this world economy? And we want to get down to the brass knuckles on that element if we could today and have a chat around that.
Sure. Well, the Surrey Board of Trade has a Surrey International Trade Centre where we create global business connections for local businesses with 30 different country partnerships and trade commissioners, whether they're provincial or from a federal paradigm. But the key thing to remember is that in Surrey, 104 different languages are spoken in our city. And so the width and the breadth of opportunity as it relates to relationships and experiences around the world within our city gives us the added asset to anyone who's wanting to have, do some co-location around the world in our city, to partner with our universities, to ensure that there's economic opportunities. In British Columbia, and I've always said this, even during the pandemic, that international trade is one of the key ingredients in the overall economic recovery recipe. Because we're a border city, we're right on the border. We're part of the Asia Pacific Gateway. We have an international docking facility. We have the greatest number of manufacturers within British Columbia that are shipping product internationally. So that gives us leverage and opportunity to ensure that we are part of that international trade economic recovery pathway. And so the International Trade Centre here in Surrey is, part of that concierge of connection.
There's a lot of emphasis in BC around natural resources. So we talk about lumber, we talk about mining, we talk about these things, and then we look to our partners to next door to us, Alberta, who really focused a lot on oil, and then all of a sudden the oil market went away or blew up, and now they're struggling to get back to something. They're trying to find that new economic resource as something to support their economy. In Vancouver and in British Columbia and in Surrey, are we on the right path? And what does that look like? Are we too focused on those natural resources? And should we be more focused on technology? Should we be more focused on, as you said, global trade and bringing maybe the tech minds into this market to open up some doors into Canada?
We really need a diverse approach. You just can't focus on oil and gas or clean energy. You need all of that. And in Surrey, for example, there's 104 different companies that support our mining sector. Mining is huge in terms of building good quality jobs for our citizens within British Columbia and creating those global partnerships. Our resource industry is here to stay for the long term. Oil and gas is here to stay even for the long term. But in concert with that, we have the opportunity to build green technology, to build clean energy, LNG, liquefied natural gas, all of those pieces need to be concurrent with our existing resource sector to build those trading capabilities to ensure that we're a leader around the world.
Absolutely right. So what I can see that about the report that it's January 2021, it's showing that our export is increased from the last January during pandemic. It's interesting, right? So, but then most of this, it's showing that it's on US, EU, and Taiwan and Australia. They are increasing, but then India, China, and Japan is decreased. What is the reason behind of that? That's why it's so behind in India, China, and Japan. As you said, we are the gateway for East.
Well, part of it has to do with free trade agreements that have been established between the Canadian government and those countries where we are doing well in terms of exporting pathways. There needs to be a free trade agreement with India. China, there remains challenges there because of their political climate. And Japan, we've had some positive outcomes pre-pandemic, though, but more needs to be done on that front. There needs to be a much more concerted effort within the BC government, within the Ministry of Economic Recovery, Innovation and Jobs to ensure that their trade portfolio has an action plan. And I'm waiting to hear what that is. And we're part of it. Surrey is a part of it. Things just can't happen within Vancouver, the brand Vancouver. So I know they're working on it, but we have so many opportunities that we're not leveraging right now.
And we can say that some of the part of the biz industry sector we are increasing on the export or trading, international trading, it's import and export, but some part of are falling. For example, can you tell me that which part is behind of in trading in BC and what we have to work on that one, which sector that we have to work on that one?
Well, I think the sectors that we need to work on are agri-products, even general manufacturing products like steel, copper, all of those kind of resources. Lumber, we really need to work on a softwood lumber agreement between the United States and Canada, to really ensure we have the opportunity related to forestry within BC. I think one of the key ingredients in economic recovery during this pandemic is to take a look at all of our sectors. And I don't think an asset inventory has really been done in terms of the opportunity within British Columbia and around the world.
So one more question about Europe and BC. What kind of agreement we have in agriculture? I know that the European Union have a very strict agreements on the food and agricultures. Is there any problem for us, for BC agriculture, to deal with the European Union?
Well, from my perspective, no, because we have a comprehensive free trade agreement with the European Union. And that's been finalized, and that means our borders are open. Tariffs are down when it comes to agri-products. But the challenge is that Canadian businesses don't understand the meaning, the intrinsic detail related to these free trade agreements to realize the opportunities. Government tries, we try as well. But businesses are very risk adverse in terms of doing business internationally. Canadian businesses are risk adverse. And so we're trying to change that culture. We're trying to build those opportunities, build that knowledge. And the same has to happen within the European Union as well, for them to be open to Canadian partnerships.
What about the GMO label of GMO in European Union and organic product that they have some standards? Is there any barrier for us?
Well, certainly, those types of restrictions, they need to be dealt with as it relates to the free trade agreement to ensure that regulations are adhered to within Canada or vice versa. So that happens from industry to industry or company to company, and there needs to be government approvals in that regard to ensure that citizens are kept safe and that they're eating those products that will not compromise them.
So you talk about this post-pandemic plan, like the post-pandemic plan. You say the recovery thing, it's moving very slowly. What challenges do we face if we don't respond quickly here in these situations? Are we going to lose some of these opportunities?
Well, we really need to focus on capitalizing on trade opportunities, building those partnerships now, even during the pandemic in a digital environment. And otherwise, we're competing around the world. We have competition around the world. If we don't capitalize upon it now, if we don't understand what the pathway and partnerships are, if government is not utilizing the Board of Trade or Chamber of Commerce industry in order to build those global connections, then Canada's going to lose out. Our businesses are going to lose out. And that's a measure of creating good jobs, good businesses, and our economy.
So on that element, I know, Anita, and that kind of leads me down the pathway is that, with this pandemic, Canada's faced a big challenge with getting vaccines. And a lot of this probably relates back to some of these trade agreements and not even creating this within our own country for once and then relying on other countries. Where's the balance there? Where's the balance between what we should be doing internally versus what we should be exporting or importing or vice versa?
Well, I think in as much as possible, we need to be creating businesses within Canada, those tech businesses to create our own vaccines, for example, within our own country, so we can be self-reliant. We do need to have food, for example, vertical food systems to be self-sufficient so that we're not always relying on other countries. But there are some countries that can't produce certain products. And so we do need to partner. There's certain countries that can partner in order to build human capital or labor partnerships so that we can reduce our costs. Global partnerships are very important, but, there is a balance, you're right, to be had. And the vaccines, really not part of the free trade agreement that the Canadian government has put into place over the past 5-6 years. But it really was an evident gap that our tech sector needs to be focused on within our own nation.
Absolutely. I just want to ask another questions about what is the BC plan to have more trades with Middle Eastern countries? Because you said the agriculture is one of our biggest export factor, and then one of the most important of the Middle Eastern countries is on agriculture. How we can find a balance between these two countries? We are provider of a lot of agriculture and they are consumer of a lot of them. But there is not much trades between BC and Middle Eastern countries.
Well, that's because there's no plan. There's been no focus on the Middle East when it comes to BC trade. The Surrey Board of Trade, we did take a trade mission to Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, some time ago. But, you really need to have the BC government to have a focus on it, and they haven't. It's an opportunity, and we've certainly been saying that don't only focus on China and India, important markets, but there needs to be diversity within our global partners, like there is diversity within our industries in British Columbia.
Yeah, correct. It is so really interesting. For example, the lentils is one of the biggest producer of the world is Canada, and one of the most consumers they are Turkey, Iran, India. It's Canada, and most of them they are imported to these countries. So, but there is not a lot of shipment between BC and the Middle Eastern country. I think that there is something that has to be worked. One more question is one of the interests for immigrants is trading. They want to trade between Canada or the province they are and their home country. They're always looking for opportunity to trade between their home country and Canada. Is there any program in Surrey Board of Trade to help these immigrants traders?
So we've had a variety of immigrants start their businesses through the Business Centre at the Surrey Board of Trade. And so, for example, there's a company that actually originates in the Middle East. He brought his family to Surrey, and he has a very diverse sector, different products that he exports and imports between our two countries. But he started at the Surrey Board of Trade where, he needed to start his business. So he needed support in that. He needed support in terms of connections. He needed support in terms of, businesses abroad that could help him. So we offered all of that through our business and our trade center. So over the years, I would say there's been many newcomers that have started their businesses and played a role in trading from their country of origin. But, there really needs to be more of a structured plan around immigrant entrepreneurship. And that's something that we can work on more. and that we need to work on more here at the Surrey Board of Trade.
How about to run a challenge for students to run?
Yeah, I smell a challenge coming on for students. Maybe we need to work with the Surrey Board of Trade to help them develop this entrepreneurship program.
I would very much welcome that, actually.
That is fantastic. So it's a great challenge for our students to create a framework or policies for Surrey Board of Trade to help the immigrants, entrepreneurs, or immigrant traders.
Yes, absolutely.
And what a great story to having some international students developing it for international people coming here. I think there's a beautiful story here. Anita, it's been wonderful having you here on the show, learning so much about the trade and learning about where we need to go. I think there is other bigger challenges. As you said, we need to figure out how to push the government to open up some more opportunities for doing some more open, free trade with these countries like, India and China and we said the Middle East. Like there's so much opportunities, and how we might be able to put our heads together as another challenge that we should all throw out to our students here to see if they can help support in trying to open some of those doors. Thank you again for your time today. It's been eye-opening.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you, Dave. That was another episode of Innovation Fuel.
To all entrepreneurs and managers out there, we have ambitious students here at UCW who would love to hear from you and help you with your business through our internship, our capstone program. If you think you have a wonderful story or a challenge that you want to share with our students and our audience that you think they can benefit from, we want to hear from you. We want that information. We want you to be a part of this show. We also want you to join our mentorship program. We've got a great mentorship program to help students as they move on their educational journey towards getting into a career or launching a new opportunity. So reach out to us, connect with us at www.ucanwest.ca/innovationfuel.
You have just listened to the Innovation Fuel podcast with your hosts, Dave and Gelareh. Subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Google, or Spotify. Join us next week for another innovative story. Thank you for listening and have a great week.